Hello everyone and welcome to the first look, and today we will be taking a look at the Kiwi Ears Quartet. Now this is provided me by Kiwi Ears, and they say that they like the way this video is done, so I will do my original first looks that I always do. They do not have any control nor review of this particular video here, and really that's about it. So let's take a look at the Kiwi Ears Quartet. You can see here, this is the boxing itself, and it's brand new. I have not heard it before nor touched it before, so I'm excited to open it up to just let you guys have a look. So as you can see, this is what's in the box. Quartet, and then a case here, and then let me open up the case, and you can see the cables are provided here, and then these are the tips that are provided here. Now these tips here, they don't look like anything special, so I guess it's fine. I'll just use one of those tips and see which actually works out the best. Now let's take a look at the cable first before we actually go in depth into the IEM. This is a cable. Now this is a single-ended, and then you can see these are the cables itself. Now there is a slight extension, rectangle extension that you normally see like moon drop cables. So that is pretty normal of a cable, nothing too special here. Now let's take a look at the Quartet itself. Now this is one side of the Quartet itself, and you can see this is how it looks like. And you can see that there are two switches. There are 1 and 2 here. I will explain more the switches later when I take a look at what does it mean. And you can see that the nozzle here, there is a 2-hole nozzle, and this nozzle here it looks like a mid-sized nozzle, not too big. The IEM itself, I would say in real life, looks really beautiful, looks really nice. And it's not like a standard, I'll say as a rectangular or angular shape type. It's quite smooth and pretty shaped to the ear type of IEM. Based on the instruction manual here, they never really write what are the switches for, and I have not taken a look at the reviews online because I just want to have the most pure experience out there. So probably I'll have to just figure it out while trying it later. Now today's video will have a measurement section, which I will also measure the various switches and what do they do. But today we'll take a look at this IEM, how it sounds like. I'll do a simple comparison, and then finally we look at some measurements at the back. All of these are in the bookmarks below, so do move around to what you like. So I connected the IEMs, and for the first impression I will do all on, then I will switch the switches around and see okay. So I've actually connected up the IEM, so I will do all on as per default out of the box, and that's probably how many of you guys will actually use it. And then I will try out offing the switches and see what do they produce. The player I'm using will be the DAB here. This is the Shuntling M9 Plus. So let's take a listen, and then I'll get back to you guys how I feel about the sound. So I've heard the first song with this Quartet itself, and I feel like it has strong bass, relatively I think up front and forward mids, but the treble kind of like missing, or should I say very tamed. That's probably how I would describe a very tame treble. It makes Ibarra totally have no sibilance, but it also makes it like lacking of some high energy type of excitement. And it also makes the whole song feel very slow. It's like, I do not know, the whole response of all the instruments and everything, it just feels a touch slower than I'm used to for Ibarra. Ibarra is a very energetic, powerful song, but on this earphone it just feels like it's taken a half step or one step back. It's kind of interesting feeling. Now this is Ibarra. Now I'll try one more song, and then I will after that start playing with all the switches itself. So I've heard the second song, I Know Akuruhi, and it kind of replayed the same feeling I had just now. Very nice mids and bass. I would say really nice. Like the mids are really strong, very nice body, filled up and very clear. And the bass is like punchy, a lot of sub bass rumble. There's a lot of energy there. But when it comes to the highs, it feels like it's a little bit more relaxed. Like the guitars they were playing in this particular song, it's like more chill. And as such, it makes the whole song feels a bit more slow. Now for I Know Akuruhi, I would say it's fine to have a slightly slower feeling, not like Ibarra. But when you enter even the chorus, it feels like there is the lack of this high energy in the upper regions that makes this sound very tamed compared to what I'm used to when listening to Ai no Akuruhi. So I think from the two songs, my feeling for this IEM is that, at least in its state out of the box, it feels like the bass is elevated, the mids are elevated, and the whole treble feels a little bit more tamed and relaxed. And as such, when it comes to mids and bass, it's really beautiful. Very strong bass, very nice mids, very filled up. But when it comes to the treble, the air, very limited treble, very limited air, and it feels a little bit slower in the songs when it plays. So it's quite an interesting effect. Now I'm going to try what happens when you reduce the right side one. So I will push down the right side and this one, and I'll push down the right side. So as I said, there are two little toggles here, 1 and 2. Now I push the right side one, number 2, down for both sides of the IEM, and let's take a listen. So based on what I tried, pushing out number 2 will actually reduce the mids itself, and therefore it makes it more V-shaped like, which is strong bass with more treble energy. And I thought that this configuration was better than the previous one. In fact, it makes the Ai no Akuruhi have a little bit more air in the sound, and when it goes into the chorus, the energy returns a little bit, and there is more like oomph to the whole music itself. Like, it's screaming, Ado is screaming there, and then there's this high energy in her voice, the air in her voice that is coming through that, in the original setting just didn't have. Now I'm going to reduce the bass. I believe it's the bass now, number 1 down, and see whether is it really the bass. Now pushing down the number 1 toggle makes it sound like it gets sucked out of the lower mids and also some of the bass energy. So it sounds like number 1 is more like bass plus some lower mids energy, while number 2 is like really pure mids energy. And if you push up both of them, then it becomes a very mids and bass centric IEM. But if you reduce the number 2, it becomes more of V shape. And then when you push down number 1, it becomes a bit more tame and flat, and then with a treble rise. I would say that all of them down just doesn't sound really good. It sounds like life was sucked out of the mids. But if you just push down number 2 and leave number 1 up, it sounds really nice. It sounds like there's a lot of energy in the bass, in the lower mids, and then it feels nicely balanced in the mids, then not too much body and power there, and then the highs kick in, and then it gives a bit of airiness in the voice. So my personal favorite configuration will likely be 1 up, 2 down. So that's probably how I will listen for the rest of this comparison. So for the last part, I will compare both the 7Hz and the Quartet. You'll be wondering, why did I use something so affordable versus the Quartet? Now, if you have seen my recent video on the 9 IEM comparison, if not, just take a look at the link up there. That's because this IEM has proven to be ranked really well, and my guess is somebody who buys the Quartet will be actually somebody who probably use something like this and wants an upgrade. So I just want to see whether is this an upgrade. Now, once again, I'll repeat that I'm using 1 on, 2 off, so that I get the signature that I prefer, at least I believe I prefer. We'll look at the measurements later, and then we'll do a comparison with the 7Hz 02 and see which I prefer. So I have tried both of them using the song Heartbeat, this one from YOASOBI, and I want to say that the Quartet definitely has less high energy than the 7Hz. The 7Hz just has more high energy, but the 7Hz is well balanced. It has nice mids, it has high energy, and it has good amount of bass. I'll say the Quartet beats the 7Hz in terms of bass quantity, bass quality. The punch, the amount of rumble is just a lot more on the Quartet, and it's really nice to listen. While the mids itself, I would say, as the details and naturalness is also really good. I think it sounds more natural than the 7Hz. What it doesn't beat the 7Hz, however, is when it comes to the highs, the air, the extension up into the frequencies. I think the 7Hz just does it a little bit better. It feels a little bit more smooth and clean up there. So that's really a difference. Now, in terms of soundstage, I'd say that they are about the same, nothing too special. But if you are looking for like bass and mids with a lot of body, I would say as a Quartet does it a lot better than the 7Hz. But if you're looking for a more balanced sound, the 7Hz is still balanced, But is this an upgrade? I guess if you really love bass and you like good natural bodied mids, this is definitely an upgrade. But if you are type that one more air, one more treble, at least I find that the 7Hz does it better. Now you'll be wondering why not I just switch all of them down and just go more treble on this, because I didn't like the sound signature, so there's no point trying, right? In this configuration of bass boost and mids down, I find that it is very nicely balanced for my listening. The bass is strong, yet I would say it's very nice and controlled, very nicely textured, and overall a very enjoyable experience. Now, for the very last part, I will want to do a little bit of measurement on this IEM, and then followed by some sound summary, and then we'll close off this review. Be right back while I do a measurement. Now let's take a look at some measurements. Now I'm using a compliant IEC 711 compliant coupler. It is not like the most accurate, but it gives a good reference point. So for this, I can show you some of the graph here. Now this is the graph when it comes to left-right matching, relatively okay. Now when it comes to the general frequency, you can see that this is a V-shaped graph, and it is I would say a not too exaggerated type of V-shape. Now if I was to flick switch 1 on, and you can see there is a bass boost of around 3 dB, and it lasts all the way to like 1 kHz. It's actually quite elevated bass, and it lasts quite long into the mids. That's why I say that just now, by lowering the bass, it kind of makes the vocals a little bit hollow and loss of body. I guess this is where it comes from. And then if I was to switch 2 on, then that is a mid boost, and you can see that it boosts like from 400 Hz all the way to 4 kHz, and you can see that it elevates in the middle, which is about 1.5 to 2 kHz, about 3 dB too. Now it does mean that vocals sound a little bit clearer, and then bass gets pushed behind a little bit. Now if you flick both of them on, you will notice that the whole bass and the mids get pushed up a lot, and that pretty much explains why I feel like the high is just a little bit off. It's quite interesting. I mean, this is the first time I'm actually using measurements in the part of the video, and it kind of relates quite well to what I've talked about just now. So I hope that this is actually useful to you. And really, that's about it. Before I end on talk about specification and price a little bit, this is about 100 something USD. You can take a look at the exact price on the screen here. Now in where I am, Singapore, I can get it maybe about 150 Sing dollars, but this is the price that it's up in the market today. This Kiwi Ears is a 4-driver IEM. It comes with 2 dynamic drivers, which is what they call sobaric dynamic drivers. I don't know what does that actually means, but they say that it's synced and stuff. And then followed by 2, I would say, as balanced armatures, and one is for the mids and one is for the highs. So pretty much this is the combination, a 4-driver IEM. Now for 4-driver, and you get like 100-ish dollars for it, I think the value is really good, and you can tune it with the switch, and it does produce, I would say, as a noticeable difference in sound, which I guess that meets more people's requirement. And overall, I think it's a very clear IEM with no faults of its own, and based on the switch, it can go from relatively, I would say, as a trebleless kind of IEM to relatively exciting V-shaped style, or you want just everything lesser but more treble. It's also possible. Personally, I do think that this is an upgrade over the 7Hz 02, especially when you raise switch 1. It gives you more bass, a nice filled up mids that is very natural, and still have good amount of treble energy. But I don't think this is somebody who wants treble energy and bass. If you want a very like VV shaped type, which is strong bass, strong treble, and a bit more step back type of mids, then this is not the IEM for you. Overall, I do enjoy this quite a bit, and I highly recommend you try it out. And considering the price, it's really no harm to just purchase it and give it a go. And I hope this is useful for you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.